Hey everybody, this is Deb with Truthification Chronicles, and I have no idea how long this one's going to go because, yeah, it's another one of those that I have tons and tons of stuff in here just because it's been a day like that. Wow, what a news day. Remember when I said it felt like a tsunami was hitting us? Oh, yep, the tsunami is still hitting because there's just so much in the news. And this morning, I have on my cell phone the Fox News app that warns me or informs me when there's special breaking news. And it was like, it went off this morning and I looked at it and I go, oh, that's going to be an interesting day. So let's get into this because it has been jam-packed full of fun stuff. So here we go. We start out with this tweet by POTUS. Maggie Haberman of the failing New York Times reported that I was annoyed by the lack of cameras inside the hospitals in Dayton and El Paso, when in fact I was the one who stated very strongly that I didn't want the fake news inside and told my people not to let them in. Fake reporting. So he's targeting Maggie Haberman. And remember, for those of you who may not know, Maggie Haberman is on this list. This is the media personalities who conspired with the DNC during the 2016 election cycle. And yep, she's on here. Let's see, New York Times over here. There she is, Maggie Haberman. And this link, it will be down below. It's on my website. You can download this and share it as much as you want because this comes from the WikiLeaks. The DNC emails themselves saying these people are working with them. Now, Maggie Haberman has a special place because she's mentioned as helping them out when they need a story put out. So if you know anything about the wrap-up smear, what they do is they create a story, they fabricate it, make something up, they hand it over to someone in the press, and Maggie Haberman seems to be one who does this for them a lot, and then she writes up a story and puts it out, and then the Democrats turn around and point to that and say, see, it's in the press, so it must be true, right? Okay, well, there's lots of them on here. Oh, and Joe Scarborough, he's blaming Russia for Epstein. Okay. Anyway, I'll get to that when I go on, but I saw that somewhere. I forget who had it posted, but he evidently thinks that the Russians are behind Epstein's death. But we'll get to all that later. But I wanted to show this to you. Spread this around because all of these people, when you put this around, you say these people are named in the DNC emails from WikiLeaks, which remember, the DNC has never said those emails are not valid. All they've said is they were stolen, so you shouldn't look at them. They are valid. They really are from the DNC. Nobody has ever said they weren't. So these are valid. These people did work in some fashion with the DNC in the 2016 election cycle. So always interesting to go through that. Lots of CNN people. Did you notice that list? And MSNBC, big, long lists of people. And yeah, I'm really kind of surprised that some people aren't on there, like Brian Stelter and Jim Acosta. But, you can't have everybody, I guess. But those are actually named in the emails. It's very likely that neither Brian Stelter nor Jim Acosta warranted that. It was not something, they were not big enough up that, the DNC didn't care about them. So that would probably take them down a few pegs. And every time I think of Brian Stelter, I hear Mark Dice's voice in it. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you because this is making liberals' heads swim. And the Epoch Times here has an article. Trump criticizes New York Times reporter Maggie Haberman over fake reporting. And so, yep, he just called her out on it. And there's what he said. And, it says, never has the press been more inaccurate, unfair, or corrupt. We are not fighting the Democrats. They are easy. We are fighting the seriously dishonest and unhinged lamestream media. They have gone totally crazy. Make America great again, he later added. And that is one of Trump's posts later on. So let me go back there. Let's see. Where's it at? Yeah, right here is where he says that. So, yeah. They've gone crazy. Make America great again. And it is. I mean, it's so true. And really, to be honest, a lot of the last 2 years has had to happen the way it did because this is who we're fighting against. Yes, the Democrats, the left, the deep state, all that kind of stuff. But really, who we are fighting against is an unfair, dishonest press. And that's what the problem is. Because in order to maintain our country as it is, one of the things we needed was a fair and honest press, because the press keeps the government honest. And if they're doing their job, the problem is they've not been doing their job, and they're working with one side of the government over the others. And I will reiterate, when it comes to Trump and he talks about fake news, it's not that he minds bad press if he deserves it. If they say he did something wrong, then he would take that in stride. But when they out and out lie, like Maggie Haberman did on this, she fabricated this thing. Well, the thing about this is, if you go down here, I thought this was an interesting quote. Haberman, a political reporter with the Times, regularly writes stories claiming to know what the president has been thinking and doing behind the scenes, relying on a bevy of anonymous sources. And that is the thing. And of course, her stories about Trump are almost all negative. I would even take out the word almost. I'm not sure she's had anything positive about him, has she? Anyway, not that I've seen. But I like the way that he put this, a bevy of anonymous sources. That is the thing. That's what they're doing. They have all these pieces, and they claim that Trump screamed at his aides to begin producing proof that in El Paso people were happy to see him. It's like, yeah, I'm just not seeing Trump screaming, period. I mean, even if he gets upset, I can't even imagine him screaming. Nah, I could see him probably yelling if somebody does something really stupid. Yeah, I could see him doing that. But I can't imagine him screaming. That's just not going to be him. And how do they know? Well, they come up with these anonymous sources. And it's always anonymous sources. Isn't that what Robert Mueller did? It just seems like throughout that Gomert thing that I was doing, that document, time and time again, that's how Robert Mueller worked. All of a sudden, there were these anonymous sources that put out the dirt on these people. They'd be convicted right before an election, and then after the election, oh, no, I guess they're not really guilty of that. And it would be vacated. Or like the one, it didn't even go to court afterwards. It was like it destroyed his chances at being reelected, but, oh, we didn't care about that. That's what they were really working on, making sure that they weren't reelected, because they desperately needed a majority in there. And yeah, anyway, go watch the video series on the Gomert letter. So anyway, I just think that it's amazing what they're doing here. And it is all of these lies come out. They're fabricated, and they rely on a bevy of anonymous sources. So yeah, anyway, that's the little hullabaloo going on there. Well, if you go back here to Trump's tweets, there's one more I want to point out to you. He retweeted this, and it also made the, we'll get to this in a minute. The breaking news live says documents were unsealed yesterday revealing the top Democrats, including Bill Clinton, took private trips to Jeffrey Epstein's pedophilia island. And yes, the documents were unsealed. I'll have those in a minute. I'm just kind of going by, oh, here they are. Okay. I've got all these tabs open. You know how I do this. And I got tons of tabs open. So here are the documents. And I will leave the link down below. But in my opinion, I like reading them as a PDF. So I usually go over here. It says original document PDF. And it puts it in more the PDF format. A little bit better perspective for me. But, you can have either one. So I just thought I'd show you how to do that in case you want. But yeah, here are the documents that were unsealed. And they were originally sealed, and then they went through down here. Oh, come on. The squirrels are running. Look at that. Run, squirrels, run. Oh, I'll tell you, it's been really bad here. I mean, it took one video, I think of the last Louis Gohmert one, it took like 6 hours for it to upload. It's crazy. I don't know. I guess everybody's using the internet or something. But, see, and this one's taken forever too. Anyway, I'll just tell you about it. It has, in this, they talk about how they were sealed, and the court vacated that judgment because they didn't think that they should have been sealed in the first place. So I thought that was interesting. So anyway, you've got that, and back to the tweets, because that's an important thing too that just happened. I think that was a Friday dump. I think it came out on Friday, if I remember. This I'm going to play for you. This is a guy whose name is Terrence K. Williams. He's hysterical. Oh, I love watching him. He's so funny, and he's got a clip here. I'm going to show you just part of the clip because I don't want to get, infringe on his copyright and everything. So I'll put the link down below. You can watch the whole thing because it does get really funny near the end and everything. And so you need to watch the whole thing, but I'll play you just a little bit of clip here. But the thing I want to point out on here is Trump retweeted this. Okay. This is huge because I think you can probably tell from the pictures what he's going to say. So let me just play this clip for you.
Shaking my head. I'm not surprised. I told y'all last month this was going to happen, but didn't nobody want to listen to me. But then guess what? Next month he did. And you know what? All the liberals were calling me a conspiracy theorist, saying, Terrence, you coming up with crazy conspiracies and you need to be banned from Twitter. And then guess what? The man really ended up dead. And you know what? He had information on the Clintons, and the man ended up dead. Now, for some odd reason, people that have information on the Clintons end up dead. And they usually...
So there you go. Yep. And Trump retweeted it. It's very significant what he retweets because he does not retweet a lot. And you have to keep that in mind. I'm going to go back to his feed. And yeah. Okay. Anyway, there's just so much. Like here, think about how wonderful it is to be able to fight back and show to so many how totally dishonest the fake news media really is. It may be the most corrupt and disgusting business almost there is. Make America great again. That's just wonderful. Anyway, so that's what Trump was doing today. And like I said, it's very significant that he retweeted this Terrence Williams thing because Terrence Williams is labeled as a conspiracy theorist. And I wanted to just comment one thing on that because here is, kind of my thinking. I had someone earlier on Twitter, and I'm so sorry that I can't remember who it was. I've just seen so many names today. But that it's kind of like when they stop our tweets and the Facebook posts and so forth, it's almost like they're invading our privacy and our ability to speak because it's similar to like with the post office. If people mess around with your mail, if I send a letter to you and someone intervenes and stops it on the way, it's a crime. And so why is it not a crime for them to be stopping us from speaking? I mean, it's essentially like they're taking our letters and not mailing them or stealing them from the postman. So, there really is something to that, I think. It could be a real crime there for them to do it. But think about this. This is another perspective on that. If YouTube has shut down a lot of channels or at least demonetized them, because they label them as conspiracy theorists, then what happens when those conspiracies turn out to be in today's news? And I thought about that with this whole Epstein thing because I just read an article on Fox News. I mean, legitimately on Fox News. And it was saying all these things about Epstein's Island that we've been saying for years. And people weren't listening to us and they were calling us conspiracy theorists. And it's now mainstream news. So my question is, if they stopped us from being able to earn revenue because they labeled us as conspiracy theorists, or they labeled a specific video as a conspiracy theory, and then later on that conspiracy theory is found out to be true, then do they owe us back pay? I mean, don't they owe us some kind of reparations for keeping us from making money off of that particular thing just because they thought it was a conspiracy theory, even though it wasn't, and it's now coming out to all be true? So just a thought. I mean, I just had that kind of go across my mind when he was talking, and I wanted to share that with you while I was thinking of it. So anyway, let's go on. I mean, this has just been crazy today. Well, this guy, IB, and I don't know, Incarcerated Bob, and it's kind of an odd bio there that he has, into fantasy football, gambling, that kind of stuff, I guess. And a lot of his tweets are about sports, but I thought this was interesting. He says, source, 2 guards at MCC, which is Manhattan Correctional Center, who normally have overnight shift that watches over suicide risk inmates, were both told to leave area 3 hours earlier for scheduled maintenance to jail cells and hallways. Seems legit, huh? So in other words, they weren't there. And from what I'm hearing, the cameras were not functioning either. But I'm sure that doesn't surprise you, right? And then this person says, significant jail officials in statement say Epstein was in the special housing unit at the MCC. This is important because it means he was supposed to get special attention. So what happened here? And so, like I said, he does a lot of this, but I want to show you something. And Breaking News Live retweeted his and didn't give him credit for it, and he was ticked about that. So, yeah, he had to make something about that. But let's see, there was another one, I think. This guy says, great, now the Clintons are gonna whack Bob. So, it's just, yeah. And if you listen to the rest of that Terrence Williams one, you'll understand. So, and we can't find anything about it, but evidently Bob has some sources there. I don't know. There's nothing, there's nothing to back that up, but, and here he was talking back in July 24th. That's not possible suicide. That's called Dead Men Tell No Tales. That was the first time that Epstein made a, quote, suicide attempt. So, because we don't believe that either. I've heard some pretty gruesome details about that it was, some people turned their backs and let other guys kind of attack him for being a child rapist. So, yeah, it was not pretty. I'm not going to tell you about that. But anyway, that was the quote right there that he retweeted and everything. So, wanted to point that out to you. So, and then he goes on. I mean, there are some other posts, but there's a lot of other things in there. The guards that were stationed to watch Epstein were told to leave the area due to maintenance. The security camera broke during that time. Epstein committed suicide. Yeah, that's the official story. And this guy says, my guess is that they'll come out with some implausible explanation for it. Not because anyone will seriously believe it, but just so the fake news media has some narrative to beat people over the head with and claim anyone saying anything contrary is a conspiracy theorist. And by the way, notice this. This has been trending for quite a while. Yeah, the body count. And so anyway, I think, let's see. Epstein commits suicide, cameras conveniently malfunction, and the 2 guards on watch were told to leave the area for maintenance. Who actually buys this law-abiding citizen script? Yeah, He tried to commit suicide 2 weeks ago. He was on suicide watch following that. We're now told that he was taken off suicide watch just hours before his death. The MCC admits the guards were not watching him. This is just incredible. So, yeah. The guards already thrown under the bus. And there was some place that I saw that they had taken the guards' cell phones. I'm not sure where. Anyway, it may be on this feed, it may not. But I'll link to that and you can look through it. Anyway, there's that, the court documents. And there are 2,000 pages. So it's quite long. That's probably why this is still loading. But, oh, yeah, there it is. More of it. Nope, the squirrels are still running. I'm telling you, those little squirrels are kind of not doing me any favors lately. Anyway, listen to my chat with Maggie Haberman. This is Katie Hopkins. You may have heard her if you listen to Hannity. Sometimes she's on there. And, this was about the New York Times. Now, if you recall, I did mention that the New York Times had changed their headline. Remember about Trump and his speech on Monday where he came out trying to unify the country And that's what they said originally. And then they got a lot of feedback, and a lot of people were going, no, you can't say anything nice about Trump. And so they had to do something and make it a really negative spin. And so she called up, I guess she had an interview or something with Maggie Haberman. And so this is a clip of it. I'll play this so you can hear it. And Maggie Haberman and Katie Hopkins says, what's the deal here? They changed their headline because people didn't like it? Is that how you do your news? Do you write things differently just because people don't like that? They don't like what you're saying? So here it is.
I think it's going to be fantastic when he wins 2020. I think what's interesting today is watching the New York Times switch its front page headline just to placate its readership. I think that's a really curious time at journalism. I don't know how you feel about being a journalist on the New York Times when you're obliged to swap a headline just because your readers and people that matter to you don't like it. I mean, will you change what you write just because someone might not like what you write? Do you change your headline because someone might not like it?
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Oh, funny that. You were fine before.
Hello?
Hi. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, no problem.
That's much better.
Okay, great.
I was saying something about the New York Times, but I couldn't hear it.
Yeah, it was a question I had about why it is that you guys are changing. I've just observed you changing your headline because your readership didn't like the headline you used. So Trump did say he wanted unity, but then you guys changed your headline because your readers didn't like it. So my question to you was, do you change what you write if your readers don't like it?
Well, I'm really interested in talking to you about your views for this story, and
yes.
while I appreciate your time very much, I'm going to go write up my notes.
Oh, but you won't answer. I've just answered your questions, but you don't want to answer my question?
Is this for our conversation, or are you reporting this?
No, I'm asking because you've changed. I'm just curious how it works in the States.
Well, I think the editor has already answered that, which is that isn't why they changed it. They were already in the process of changing it because they hadn't seen the headline. But I appreciate it.
But why did they change it? Sorry.
I'm happy to let me email you the column where the editor in chief talked about that, and that ought to answer your question.
But it's just that you changed the headline because your readers didn't like it, no?
As I said, no. He explained that it was already being changed.
But who came out with...
Links to all these will be down below so you can share them. And, it's just really crazy what's going on. This one says something about a second reaction. Now, again, I am not a lawyer. I don't know a lot about legal terms and things, but evidently there's something... This guy says, a former federal prosecutor informs me about this second order effect in terms of legal procedure. And essentially, as I understand it, is that now they can search any of Epstein's grounds and nobody will challenge it. I don't know. So if you happen to be a lawyer, you understand what that is. And if that's a possibility, please leave it down below. Leave me a comment. I also would like to know if you're a lawyer. Okay, I'm very upset that these people, if he is indeed dead, which there have been some who have theorized that maybe he is in witness protection right now. So I'm not ruling that possibility out, but I tend to think he is dead and that someone killed him. That's where I'm at right now. But, hey, things are fluid. It could change. I don't know. But for now, that's where I'm at. And I feel really bad for these women who have been violated in such a way. And in my opinion, I think that there's got to be some recourse for them because they can't go ahead with the trial because the guy is dead. Can they, and again, I'm asking legal people to leave me a comment down below. Is it possible for these women to sue the estate? Because this guy was worth billions. And I don't think anyone he knows or anyone that he's related to in any way, I don't know who his relations are, if he even has any. But I think that they should not get a penny of that money because that money was earned blackmailing people and trafficking women and children. So I don't think anyone should get any money from that estate except for those victims. And I think it should be spread out among the victims and they should be able to get it. Is it possible for them to do like a civil suit against his estate so that they could get reparations? Because I do think they deserve them. So that's kind of, what I think. This was an interesting thread that was going here. And various reports state that Epstein had been removed from Suicide Watch. And so here are some of the actual policy guidelines that say that's not supposed to happen, that the watch may not be terminated under any circumstances. And so just kind of interesting. And because Epstein was never convicted and sentenced, his home cannot be criminally forfeited under the indictment. So there's a lot of money. I don't know. There's just so much about this, and my heart goes out to those victims. And so I don't see why they can't get some reparations, but I think it would take some kind of civil suit for them to actually get that. Anyway, let's go on. Yeah. You heard about the doxing of a bunch of the Trump supporters? Well, it backfired on them. Just like it did when they did that Chick-fil-A thing. I remember that because we have a Chick-fil-A that's about a half an hour from here. And I drove all the way there just to get Chick-fil-A that day because they were going to have these big protests. Well, there were maybe like 5 people out there with signs protesting. And you should have seen the line of traffic. I mean, it was huge. It just went on and on forever. So, yeah, Chick-fil-A did very, very well that day. And I think this is what happened with this Bill Miller BBQ because they just went on forever. And, when you look at it, it resulted in unintended consequences. Business at Bill Miller's BBQ is exploding. I just think it's funny. And, you go through, you can read it. Here's what it was. I'm sorry that didn't come up. I mean, I probably have to refresh the page, and the squirrels seem to be tired right now, so it's not going to do much good. But anyway, here were the listing. That was kind of the post that he made. And cars were lined up around the block at one of the San Antonio, Texas locations. And then down here, this one says, hey, I didn't actually create the graphics. Someone I paid to create graphics and who I instructed to create the graphic created the graphic. I'm totally blameless. Yes, putting words in Castro's mouth. And so MSNBC calls out Joaquin Castro for posting info about Trump donors in his city. His defense is first that it's all public information, then pivots to, well, I didn't create the graphic. He tweeted it. It wasn't even a retweet. Yeah, he's the originator of it. So when you do that, you gotta take your lumps. So, and here in San Antonio, it has resulted in some unintended consequences. One of the companies he fixed is Bill Miller's BBQ. The lines were out the door. So go for it. If any of those companies are companies that you would do business with, do it. We want to show that we support them. And I'll put this link down below. This is the Gateway Pundit. And here's another one. Oh, no, he didn't. Oh, yes, he did. This is interesting right here. And this guy, James T. Harris, says it just the way it needs to be said. So here's the clip on that.
That the murder rate is higher in Baltimore than it is in Honduras. We have all these migrants who are supposed to be coming to the United States because of crime in their countries, where we have rat holes, S-hole cities, where the crime is higher than in those countries people are fleeing from, and black folks can't get any asylum now, can they? Especially if a black Democrat is over their district. Not to let them off the hook, they keep electing these same hats. And then say...
Again, the clip is like 2 minutes long, 2:19 long. So I'm not going to play all of them. Go see them yourself. Because, the whole deal is it will help them with their views. And when they get more views, it makes their things more viewable, if you want to say it that way. It bumps them up in... When people see things on their feed, they're more likely to see those posts. And we want people to see these posts. So that's why I'm not going to show you the whole thing. That, it's copyright. I don't want to infringe on his copyright. But Anyway, yeah, this one. New York Governor Cuomo says 100,000 on mental health list can't buy guns. Calls for federal database. Now, is that something you want? Well, it's not something I want. And this is what really concerns me, some of the stuff that Trump has been saying, because I worry about this federal database thing. It really is something that could be very abused very easily. Because mental illness diagnoses is not the same as a biological test. You go in, you get a blood test, it shows what's in your blood. It doesn't matter how many people take that blood and test it, the test is going to come out the same. Just because that is a standard test, it is, objective. There is no person's opinion involved. But when it comes to mental health, that's a whole different idea. Because it is purely subjective and it is totally dependent on what that person who is observing them perceives. Now, there are some guidelines. It's a document called the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. Well, here is one that I want to show you. Now, it's specifically meant, I think, for children and teens. However, there really is no age limitation on it in the DSM. So I don't know why it couldn't be applied to just like anybody. But it's called oppositional defiant disorder. And here is basically what it says. See, they have to have numbers. And this is the reason why mental health had to come up with this diagnostic and statistical manual. And I believe we're on number 5 of it. We could be on 6. I think 5, but I know we're not on 4 anymore. That's the copy I have. And they did change a few things into 5. But I haven't read the whole thing because it's a big honking thick book. So I've read parts of it here and there, but I haven't read obviously all of it. But it's the manual they have to use to diagnose people. Okay. They have to use these little codes to get reimbursed for insurance. So yeah, gotta have it. And, it's not that people don't have mental problems, but the whole idea that we've made this into an industry that uses psychotropic drugs, and even the doctors themselves really don't know what those drugs do, if they're honest with you and honest with themselves. There's a definite interest for the doctors to keep the people from being well too fast. Because if they get them well too fast, they don't get money. As long as they keep coming back to them, they're still gaining money. So I have, some problems with this whole idea. But then again, some doctors do that too, some medical doctors. So, and I know that there are psychiatrists who have medical degrees. But anyway, that's a whole other opinion of mine, the whole thing about the mental illness. But anyway, so this is a pattern of angry, irritable mood, argumentative, defiant behavior, or vindictiveness lasting at least 6 months, as evidenced by at least 4 symptoms from any of the following categories, and exhibited during interaction with at least one individual who is not a sibling. Okay? Now, again, I think it's supposed to be targeted towards those under 18, but it doesn't specifically ever say that as far as I've seen. Now, maybe it is, but I don't know for sure. I have not seen it. Anyway, angry, irritable mood. They only have to have 4 of these, at least 4 of these. Often loses temper, is often touchy or easily annoyed, is often angry and resentful. Okay, I know some people like this. They don't have any disorder. They're just surly. I used to lose my temper an awful lot, but I don't have the anger issues I used to have because I don't have the energy for it. Anger takes energy. But no, I really don't have problems with that anymore. But, I used to get ticked off pretty easy, but I don't have this disorder. But anyway, let's go on. Argumentative, defiant behavior. Often argues with authority figures, or for children and adolescents, with adults. Oh, gee, let's see. That means that if you see an authority figure like Chuck Schumer and you want to argue with him, oh, gosh, that puts you down as having this. Remember, you've got to have 4. So if you maybe just are a little touchy or easily annoyed, which right now it's kind of easy to do, especially when you're coming up against some liberals, because they just know the buttons to push, and it's easy to get touchy or easily annoyed with them. So let's say, okay, now you've got that one and you've got this one, that you're arguing with them, often actively defies or refuses to comply with requests from authority figures or with rules. Well, let's see. What's very interesting about this actually is you could apply this to a lot of liberals right now, especially the ones in the sanctuary states, because they lose their temper, they're touchy, easily annoyed, they argue with authority figures, they actively defy, refuse to comply with requests from authority figures like the federal government and ICE officials, often deliberately annoys others. Doesn't that describe a few liberals? Often blames others for his or her mistakes or behavior. Has been spiteful or vindictive at least twice within the past 6 months. Okay, now we can see how those could apply to most liberals. I mean, Trump derangement syndrome, that's pretty much a lot of the things that they'd be dealing with. So does that mean that all these liberals that have Trump derangement syndrome, they actually have this disorder? Well, then they should be put on that list. They have to be put on this 100,000 people list, and they won't be able to buy guns, which might be a good thing, but really no. I mean, politically speaking, if we do this is dangerous, okay? Because let's say that maybe, I don't know, maybe you were married and 15 years ago your husband or wife died and you went through a period of depression. I mean, very understandable that you would do that. And let's say, you had a hard time getting things back around and getting your feet under you again and getting out of that depression. Well, then that means that for the rest of your life, you're going to be on that list. And there's no reason to, because it was because of a certain circumstance in your life. It's not like you are totally mentally ill. It's just for a short period of time, you had difficulty dealing with the tragedy, which is understandable. I mean, it really bothers me when they talk about this kind of a list, because once you're on it, folks, you will never get off. And think about how many of our men and women who have been overseas, who have been in battle, they come home, they have post-traumatic stress disorder, they're having trouble dealing with the stresses and the traumas that they witnessed. They're all going to be on this list. So it's dangerous to me. In my opinion, this would be a very dangerous database to have, because it's going to be a permanent thing. It's like a permanent blemish on your record. You're never going to get away from it. So anyway, I thought this was an interesting thing that this guy pointed out. Want to stop drunk drivers from killing sober drivers? Ban sober drivers from driving. That's exactly how gun control will work. And it really is in a lot of ways, because the gun control only affects people who follow the law. And these people are not following the law. So how is it going to affect them if they put these gun control things in place? I just think it is crazy. Anyway, next one. Guess what? Cloudflare, which if you know about Cloudflare, it is the organization that put a kibosh on 8chan. And look at, it won't provide service to 8chan, which was not the place where the shooter from El Paso posted his manifesto. He posted it on Instagram. Don't forget that. He posted it on Instagram. But do you hear anyone calling for Instagram to be shut down? Oh, no. No. We don't have that. So, yeah, Cloudflare decides they can't do 8chan, can't have people having free speech, but boy, we sure can support these pedos. Oh, this just, and you watch this video, there's a video here, they call themselves virtuous pedophiles. Yeah, because they don't actually do anything. They just feel that way. And they ogle little kids. And, this is such a creepy video. It is such a creepy video. But yeah, Cloudflare seems to have no problems with that. But hey, heaven forbid we should have a bunch of people actually talking about the truth. And here was Charlie Kirk's tweet about it this morning. And, convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein dead. We may never know the truth of the powerful people that harmed young women. And I had to reply to him because that's just crazy. I said, what are you talking about? The guy kept video evidence of big name people so he could blackmail them. What do you mean we'll never know? And why do you think several big names have recently been trying to convince the public that deep fakes are going to be coming out soon? It's all going to come out. Yeah. And I don't know if you know, but yeah, Andrew Breitbart said a long time ago, now I'm going to have to open this actually because it needs to be bigger. There. Andrew Breitbart did this tweet a long time ago. Well, obviously, because he's been dead for a while now. But he did this before he passed away, obviously. And it was about John Podesta. And he said how his name isn't household name as world-class underage sex slave op, cover-upper, defending unspeakable dregs escapes me. So, did Andrew Breitbart know about all this? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. And Flynn knew the truth too, because this is where he tweeted the True Pundit article that said, New York Police Department blows whistle on new Hillary emails, money laundering, sex crimes with children, etc. must read. Flynn tweeted that out. Now remember who Flynn was. I mean, he was the head, the guy who was running the Defense Intelligence Agency. He knows. He knows where the bodies are buried. So anyway, I wanted to point that out to you because just too important for us to forget that those two voices were telling us about it a long time ago. And, it's not surprising. Are any of us surprised? No. We knew he had limited time on this earth. I just hoped that they were going to keep him safe until the time came. And I'm really disappointed that they didn't. But I thought this one was funny. There's a lot of good stuff out here. A lot of them. Let's see if it's still trending. Yeah, this is still trending. So, yeah, I just don't understand. They had one job. They knew this prisoner was at risk, both from inside and outside. Yeah, another Clinton accident. So, and of course, there's the quote from Trump, but that was before Trump caught him at Mar-a-Lago messing with an underage girl, and then he kicked her out. So, yeah, this is how Jeffrey Epstein made his billions. He blackmailed people. That's how he did it. So, is it any surprise that people are, going to find out about this? No. It may not, obviously we can't convict him, but surely there are so many other people that are going to be indicted in this. And here's a website, arkanside.com. Yeah, arkanside.com. And I thought this was just interesting in case you want to read through it. Yeah, there's a big long list by now, folks. And if you are not aware of that, where have you been? Because, I know some people who have committed suicide. But there's like 2 or 3. And the idea that 40, 50 some people have suspiciously committed suicide, people that the Clintons know, it is just not right. Definitely not right. And I wanted to show you this. I just kind of left it. I was going to post this and then I thought, oh, but look at all the things that were trending. Yeah, these were all trending when I typed that in. So I just wanted to show you that. So that's really all I've got for you on this. I'm going to close that out. I'm not going to actually post that because I got sidetracked. But I do want to show you a couple of Ben's cartoons. Yeah, he posted these. That one, that's my favorite right there. I mean, that is just incredible. All of this stuff and then pointing to Russia, which is empty. It's totally empty. And she goes, you got to be kidding. Oh, Ben does such a good job. He really does. And by the way, if you go to his website, you can find, you can go to Teespring and get t-shirts of his that are, I think he has all of his pictures on t-shirts. So really kind of neat. I've got the one with the Q noose on it. So that was fun. When will they be held accountable? Yeah. And it's really interesting in case you've never done this. Yeah, see, people know. This is still a conspiracy theory. It's not going to be much longer. Yeah. So, and if you do a video talking about him being the source of the video of the DNC emails, yeah, you will be considered a conspiracy theorist, and they will have to put a little Wikipedia entry underneath that gives the real truth. And see, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So if this comes out and anyone who had a video about him that was, demonetized or was put under the idea of conspiracy theory, when the truth comes out about that, all those people deserve reparations from YouTube because of the way they were treated. When they were telling the truth and YouTube didn't like it, so they labeled it as a conspiracy theory. And the same thing's going to happen with this body count thing because, yeah. So that's what I put in. I put it in the hashtag Clinton body count and came up with all of these. It's just funny to see. Nothing to see here. So very interesting to go through these. And, there's so much here. People know. People are waking up. They are awake. And, of course, they're calling us bots, if we do that. And they tried to get Trump body count trending. I never saw it trending. But, yeah, they're trying. They're trying their best. And they're calling us bots. But we're not bots. We are people who have actually done our homework. And we know. Yeah, you didn't need to be psychic to see this one coming. So, yeah, they're trying to get us out. So, anyway, yeah, this one I thought was pretty interesting. Because, yeah, the truth about that's going to come out hopefully someday too. Because that should never have happened. I mean, can you imagine? How did they let him be killed? Well, because you know who was behind it. So, anyway. It's interesting to go through and to see. I like this one. Shocked, I tell you. Oh, so, yeah. Of course, that's not by them. You do understand that. I know you guys are smart enough. You understand that. But some people evidently can't tell the difference. But, yeah, if you go through and you just put in the hashtag and look for it, you're going to see all kinds of good stuff people have been putting out. Because, they're trying to tie Trump in. But look how young he was. That was a long time ago. Oh, yeah. See, they think that Barr is a Trump toady. Yeah, it's not true. I don't know. They keep saying that Barr considers himself Trump's personal lawyer. No, but he is the lawyer for the president in some ways. I mean, he does run the Justice Department. So, you can keep going. I mean, you could find all different kinds of things. When you go through this, sometimes it's like eating popcorn, you just want to keep eating. So, anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you. I just wanted to let you know what's going on. Again, I know a lot of you don't spend much time on Twitter, and Twitter has just been going crazy today with all of this stuff. And I think it's just so funny that the Clintons' body count is trending. So that's a good thing. People are waking up. People know. We understand what's going on, and we're going to start demanding justice. I mean, we need to demand justice. If you have a Democrat that represents you in the House of Representatives, make sure that you inundate them with emails or with mail, because they need to understand what's really going on, that this needs to be investigated, that there's real proof. I mean, 2,000 pages of documents, folks, that were just released. Go through them. Yeah. So, I knew it was going to be one of those days, and I kind of feel like that's what it was. Whoops, we just got some new ones. So, where was the one? There was one with a picture of Hillary with, That's Praying Medic. Good job, Praying Medic. He had some pretty good ones there. But what's this one? I feel like it's trending magically right now. Even analytics say it should be otherwise. Oh, look at where they're all coming from, too. California. How do you like that? So talk about bots. Yeah. That's interesting. So, anyway, they had one, Epstein's prison nurse, but then no, they had one that was Epstein's prison guard or something, and they put a mustache on her and sunglasses. I thought that was pretty funny. That was a good one. But yeah, so that's what's going on Twitter. See, it keeps refreshing because more and more people, yeah, they're ticked at it. They're so upset that Trump retweeted something about this, that it ties them to. Yeah. Well, someday we're going to learn about that. Yeah, this one, I'll tell you what, if you've never heard about this one, the state health director, she was the only one that died in this plane crash. There is video of the plane crash. And the people are out there just like treading water. They're all laughing and talking and everything. But she died. And it's like, no, I don't think so. It was very suspicious. And she was the state health director. So, yeah, that was really weird. Creepy. So, there are several people that are trying to say that Trump is a conspiracy theorist because he did that. Well, in some ways, he kind of is. And you see this, I get this a lot. I don't know what this picture is, so hang on here. We're going to find out. Oh, yeah. But sometimes it's just Trump standing there. And, that's a good one. Oh, yeah. So let's ban them. Oh, I see. They're trying to say it's not really Epstein, that different noses. I don't know. I'm terrible with faces, so I can't. And, of course, there are a lot of people that just hate Trump, so they do this kind of garbage. Yeah. So Twitter's scrubbing some things from the platform. Of course. But they still have it over here. Well, they have some. They have this one still. But, oh, look at that. It just switched. That's interesting. So, keep your eye on Twitter. I know some of you hate Twitter, but, you don't even have to be, have an account or anything on Twitter. You can just go there and see at least Trump's tweets, because I think those are important. I have it set. Oh, well, that wasn't what I wanted to do, but I have it set so I can see Trump's tweets. That's where it usually takes me to. And then, yeah. Anyway. Oh, interesting. Always fun to look through here and see what's going on. Yeah, this is Ted Lieu. He is such a liberal. And, yeah. They're all upset. See, I told you they're really upset about him retweeting this Terrence William thing, because it very clearly says, the Clintons were behind it. So, are they? I don't know, but it sure looks suspicious. Kind of funny how Bill's been in the news as having visited, Jeffrey Epstein's island, and then all of a sudden, when that starts coming out, yeah, he's suddenly silenced, So, I'm sorry, I'm kind of babbling at this point. I shouldn't do that, but it's Saturday night, and I just kind of figured I'm hanging out with you guys. I wish I could do live streams. I really do, on Saturday nights, just once a week. But yeah, still, like I said, the squirrels are getting tired and they won't even upload stuff very fast. So, I mean, it was horrible. My speed was just awful. It was like 0.6 to try to upload. It was just, I've never had it so slow. But anyway, so it seems to be a little more normal right now. We'll see what happens. So anyway, that's what I've got for you on this one. Thanks for stopping by and hanging in there for this. And I will see y'all later.